Could you resolve your psychological ED with just an app?
Hallelujah.
Let's talk about it.
Hey guys, Brian Mahoney here from psychologicaled.com. Today we're going to be talking about Mojo. It's an app from the UK. And as far as I can tell, Mojo is the most popular app out there for helping guys resolve their psychological ED issues. They say they have over 250,000 members. I'm going to get into pretty much everything about this app, the content, the videos, the exercises, and there's a lot to this product. They're hitting the ED problem from a lot of different angles. Mostly it's cognitive behavioral therapy, but they also have information in there about pelvic floor work, communication skill building, breath work, fantasy and masturbation exercises, meditation training, even sex tips. I'm going to break it down for you, what I liked, what I didn't like, and what I learned. So let's start off with their site. Right there in the homepage, the founders, Angus and Xanders, say, erection medication companies are happy to sell pills to perfectly healthy men rather than solving the real underlying problem, their sexual well-being. We do things differently. Hell yeah, go Angus and Xander. Really, I couldn't agree more. So right off, I'm thinking I like these guys. And by the way, I've never met them and I'm not getting paid for this review in any way. Okay, let's say you decide you like what you've seen in the site and you decide to go for the 7-day free trial. You download the app and pretty quickly you get a sense of it. This is nice. It's smooth technically, the design is nice, it's modern, the graphics and audio are good quality, the video looks pro shot. It's a really nice initial impression. Before getting into the content, it asks you a few pages of questions to give you a baseline sense of where you are now in terms of your ED and your attitudes towards sex. This is really useful later on when you can see how your answers change as you progress through the course. They have about 10 different people acting as teachers. The teaching itself is done through a mix of text, audio, and video. Most of the lessons are accompanied by exercises. Some of the lessons are just straightforward teaching. Some you're picking up through interviews, and some you're picking up through videos of live therapy sessions. In terms of the structure, you start out in day 1 with the first training modules and exercises. Then with each subsequent day, you're doing some combination of new lessons and practicing with exercises, both the new ones from that day and the ones they want you to repeat over time. I get the sense that a lot of thought went into the design of the course. The information is broken down into nice, small, digestible chunks. There's lots of bullets for key points, lots of reminders of key points. There's positive feedback for progress along the way. Angus even stops by to give you a little pat in the back once or twice. And they're really good about reminding you to keep up with the exercises that need to be repeated over time. So it's all very organized. Overall, really solid in terms of making the information as easy to learn as possible. Okay, big picture, stuff I liked. Probably the most important thing is the experts. They seem smart, likable, clear, so really all good with the talent. Structurally, I like the way it skips around between text, audio, and video. Some teaching, some exercises, back to some more teaching. I think that kind of variety can really make a difference in terms of holding your attention and making the lessons stick. I like the straightforward presentation of the cognitive behavioral therapy ideas. It's all very much straight to the point, simple, straightforward language. I like the way they use audio to guide you through some of the exercises so that you can focus on your body and your experience as you go through it. I really like the way they give you reasons to do the exercises as you go through it. One example, 83% of guys who practice this for 6 to 8 weeks notice a massive improvement in their sex life. They say that, then follow it with a citation of the study that the quote comes from. Thinking you might have skipped that exercise? No, you are not going to. I think psychological ED can be a really lonely problem to have for most guys. I really like that Mojo integrates contact with other guys into the learning process. Right after you learn something, you get popped into a chat room for some discussion about it. And if you really want to connect with other guys, you can also do the Zoom group chats that they make available once a week. I also like the way Mojo handles porn. They're not judgmental. They even say that liking sexy visuals is normal, and there's likely an evolutionary reason for it. And of course, they acknowledge it can be a problem for some guys. And for those guys, they offer clear steps for quitting porn that look like they'd be effective to me. They were a very good match for a lot of what I do when I'm working with guys with porn issues. There's a section in there with tips for telling new partners that you have an ED problem. They really get into it. And I thought that section was really nicely done. There was a good quote in there about libido. Comparison is the thief of joy. But that was a good one. The sex tips. I changed my mind on the sex tips. At first, I thought it was just kind of padding or filling. Then I remembered some clients I've worked with who really benefited from upping their game in the bedroom. If Mojo ever does a revision on this, it might be a cool section to expand, maybe bring in an expert or two for some videos. Okay, this next part, I'm a hypnotherapist, so take this with a grain of salt. But I think they might be using some subtle hypnosis or NLP type language here, and I thought it was great. Just some really subtle ways that they're helping guys build confidence as they move through the program. Nicely done. As was the language and some of the audio exercises. And if they're not being hypnotic on purpose, they're certainly doing a good job of doing it accidentally. So again, really nicely done. Oh, and it's a small thing, but I like that Mojo was easy to cancel. Took me less than a minute, no hassle whatsoever. All right, that's what I liked. Let's talk a little bit about what I didn't like so much. And really, more than anything, it's not so much what I didn't like as more what I'm a bit skeptical of. While straight cognitive behavioral therapy can definitely be great for some guys out there, for a lot of guys, it's just not enough. At one point, they give examples of the kinds of things that guys say to themselves internally with their critical voice. So often in my practice, I'll see that kind of thinking as being driven by some really deep stuff. And don't get me wrong, I think it's great if some guys are able to solve the problem just by challenging that voice. But I'm a little skeptical about how many guys that's actually going to work for. In my practice, I'll hear guys who've done cognitive behavioral therapy sometimes say, I really understand my problem and I can try to make myself think differently, but I don't feel any different. That's where some of these approaches can come up a bit short. At one point in the program, I think they said, CBT can go deep. It can dig into your memories and dredge up painful history. Obviously, we don't want that. In my experience, often that's where you need to go in order to really get things solved. And as I say all that, I fully recognize that no one app can be perfect for everybody, so take this with a grain of salt. For a lot of these guys, these techniques can work great. I believe the research says that. Other things I didn't like. I kind of wonder about the amount of time and dedication involved with Mojo, where it's hitting the ED problem from so many different angles. There's so many different lessons. I'd imagine the time could be an issue for some guys. I'd be curious about their dropout rate. At one point, they suggest setting up a relationship with the inner critic as a back and forth argument. And they even point to research that says that doing that is better than just doing affirmations. In my experience in working with clients, arguing with the inner critic is definitely better than just listening to it, but it still keeps guys in their heads instead of in the game. The better move in my experience is to help upgrade the inner critic so that he's on your side. At that point, he'll usually quiet down. That voice will usually quiet down so that then the guy can take their focus to what's really important, their partner. And again, that's where working with a live therapist, you can get very specific about the type of thinking you're doing with your ED, and you can get very targeted in your exercises in a way that working with an app just can't. So no fault to the app, but I would mention that. A couple of other little picky things. Sometimes I wasn't sure who the guy was who was conducting the interviews. Who's Ben? Is he a Mojo guy? Is he a former client? I missed it. I also found the reminder emails that I got for the first few days after I signed up to be a bit too frequent. I think I got maybe 5 just in the first couple days. So not a big deal, just something I noticed. All right, let's wrap this up. To answer the question I posed up front, I'd say yes. Mojo would be a really good choice for most guys who are dealing with a psychological ED issue. Is it as good as working live with a skilled therapist? Probably not. Is it going to work for every single guy who tries it? Probably not. But there's some really good, solid information here that I think is going to help a lot of guys to solve the problem. That good information paired with exercises to help you really get it in a format that makes it easy to learn, I think Mojo can help a lot of guys get their ED issue resolved. And with the convenience of an app, not having to actually go see a therapist, a low price point, I think it's about $75 a month or so US, I see Mojo as being a win for most guys. So thumbs up, I recommend it. Oh, and if you're wondering who cares what I think, great question. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, but as a hypnotherapist and a coach, I have been helping guys resolve ED issues for over 20 years in my practice. So basically, I've got a lot of experience with helping guys get this solved. Oh, and I'm independent, as I mentioned. I don't get any kind of commissions or do any kind of affiliate links or anything like that. Any biases I have just come from, again, lots of experience in helping guys resolve their ED. So that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. And if you decide to give Mojo a go, I hope it helps.